What's up, everyone? Thank you for checking out and supporting this episode of Raised A Geek. This week, we look back at Deadpool as we prepare for Deadpool and Wolverine. Does it still hold up all of these couple years later? Let's find out. I'm Chris, and as always, I'm here with my buddies, Don and Tony. I forgot your names. How are we doing, guys?
Gene, what is up, my friend? I mean, Chris, what is up, my Gene? I don't know why Gene was the first name. I'm good. Everything's good. Just having a weekend here. Some major historical events, celebrities dying in threes. All the stuff is happening to us
It was
as
a
a
weekend.
society. But we found time during all this craziness to talk about a crazy person in a movie, Deadpool. So that's what we're here to do. So I'm good. How are you, Tony?
I'm doing all right.
Welcome back.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's Sunday. The dreaded Sunday. Worrying about Mondays is kicking in, but
You got the Sunday scaries?
yeah, Sunday scaries are real scary.
You know what? The Sunday scaries used to only be like it would hit around like 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night, or like bedtime's right around the corner. Here comes Monday. But now the Sunday scaries are like all day.
No,
Yeah.
it's Saturday at 7 p.m. is when they start to kick in. You
All
go,
right.
I only got one more day until I got to go back to work. Yeah.
It used to only happen for me whenever I'd hear Carrie Underwood sing the Sunday Night Football song. That was like Sunday, and I was like, "Oh no!" And when
That's
we
an
were even
indicator.
younger, it was like almost a Simpsons song, like Sunday at 7, like Simpsons would start, and you're like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna watch like the Sunday Fox lineup," and then it's time for bed.
Then my weekend is over.
And now it's just turning into my body just as like it's Sunday. It's like
And not,
Saturday
not
at midnight, and I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
right now, it might be considered like you're watching House of the Dragon if you watch it Sunday nights. Like, oh, the last fun thing I get to do on the weekend. Me personally, I have off tomorrow and Tuesday because I took some PTO because I'm sick of this shit. So,
That's a good time, good reason to use PTO. I need to
yeah,
use some
man.
PTO for
Oh,
the.
was last week your crazy week?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had some craziness. Did some.
How'd that go?
Yeah, it was fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
I made it. I made it through, but now I need some extra time. They'll be fine without me.
Well, I know we were trying to figure out some movies to watch. There's a lot going on in July. We've talked about, the boys being back, and I felt like there was something else that started. Oh, House of the Dragon came back, as you just said. And then we also had pretty much the biggest movie of the summer, I think, coming up at the end of July, which is Deadpool and Wolverine, which I know is basically on track. I'm imagining to make like $1 billion in like 4 days, but going to probably be the biggest movie of the year, which is kind of crazy to think about. Deadpool movie being pretty much one in the MCU and two being kind of the biggest movie of the year, even though it is
Mhm.
kind of a weird year coming post strike from last year and stuff. But kind of crazy that the MCU only has one movie and it's Deadpool Wolverine and everyone's super pumped for it. So we decided we wanted to go back and talk about Deadpool, the original, what started it from back in
2016, I think.
2016, which is only 8 years. Feels like it's longer.
Yeah.
Also feels like that's not that long ago. So
I don't know. When I first before I looked at the year, for some reason in my head I had it as being older. Like I was like, "Oh, I think this came out in like 2005 or 2006," but I was way off. Yeah,
mhm.
2016 is not that long ago, but it does feel like it's been a while. I don't know.
Even
A
feels like
long time
Deadpool
coming.
2 has been forever.
Yeah, maybe because when did part two come out?
I think 2 years later, like
So
2018.
maybe that's why the 6 year gap makes it seem like it's a lot longer since we've been waiting for a follow up. You know what I mean?
Well,
Considering like the success of the first two, and then it was like, all right, well,
I think the main reason why, well, yeah, let's say Deadpool 2 did come out in 2018, which I think is right.
Yeah, it did. May 2018.
So now it's 2023, so that's a 5-year wait, and a lot of that had to do with, I think, like the Fox transition to
Yeah.
Disney, and Disney not knowing what to do with the Fox properties. If they were rebooting like the X-Men, were they rebooting Deadpool? Like it was all kind of up in the air. We never knew if we were going to get a Deadpool 3 after the Disney acquisition of
Well, and
Fox.
and you look at the idea that when that Fox acquisition, Deadpool 2 came out, that was where we were right there and still in the Infinity Saga. So like then it's like, how do we fit Deadpool into the MCU? How do we figure out everything that we're, like how does this work? And now I think it's a little bit easier making that work when you're looking at the the fact that they're kind of wanting to tell a little bit more standalone stories. Granted, this seems like with the TCU, what the hell? The time I can't remember the name of the little time traveler.
Oh, the TVA from Loki.
TVA.
Uh-huh.
Now with the TVA in there, then it makes it a little bit easier to tell the story, and it seems like it's going to tie into what they're currently doing a lot more than I ever would have imagined it doing. But
And it
I'm
it also took a long time for them to decide to use mutants, which Deadpool is
mhm.
considered one. Um, like we just started seeing them pop up recently. Like Professor X was in Doctor Strange. The third Doctor, was that the third Doctor? No, second Doctor Strange, right? Professor X was in that, and then you had Beast pop in somewhere, and they said Miss Marvel's a mutant
Yeah.
recently, but like before that, they were like, we don't know what we're gonna do with the mutant characters. So I think now that they're finally, and then part of this movie, the excitement of it is also just Hugh Jackman and Wolverine,
Yeah.
and him being such a huge part of superhero movies for so many years. People thought they were never going to see him again, and he said they were never going to see him again. Uh, he
Yeah,
said
Logan was
Logan.
supposed to be it.
He said Logan was his last thing, and I saw an interview with him recently where him and Ryan Reynolds were sitting on the stage as like one of the just recent promo tour things, and he was like, I did say before Logan even released, I'm done. This is my last thing. I've had a good run. It's been a long time. And then I'm sitting there and Deadpool comes out and I'm watching the first 15 minutes of Deadpool. And after the first 15 minutes, I was just like, oh no. Like am I done? I don't know if I'm done. And he's just like he's envisioning a movie with the two of them together, like an odd couple kind of a thing, another 48 hours, like buddy, whatever, different
Like
personalities.
a road trip,
Yeah.
buddy road trip flick.
And that is what has come to be. So we're gonna see how that plays out. But yeah, there's a lot of excitement, I feel like, around Deadpool Wolverine. So we watched Deadpool.
Yep, that's our long roundabout way of saying why we decided to watch Deadpool. When was the last
Yeah.
time you guys watched Deadpool?
It's been a while. I remember when it first came out. I think I watched it maybe two or three times that first year or two, and I don't know if I've watched it since. I feel like I've seen part two more than I've seen part one. I don't know if part two is just on more and I catch it, in the middle of it. But there was a lot of it that I'm glad we rewatched it because there's a lot of it that I had forgotten about or missed, and it was fun.
Yeah. It's for me, it's been a while too. And I have seen it a lot of times, but it's been a minute. Um I like Tony just kind of said, to echo him, I didn't remember everything exactly how it was, and I was like, oh yeah, okay. And now it's coming back to me. But it's been a minute. I've seen it like a number of times. I don't think I've seen Deadpool 2 that many times though. Maybe once
Yeah.
or twice.
I watched Deadpool 2 in theaters and I never watched it again. And I don't even think I've seen pieces of it like on TV. I don't think for whatever reason, don't feel like I ever watched it again. So I definitely need to boot that one up now. But yeah, Deadpool 1, watched that one quite a few times, bought it on Blu-ray, watched it a few times. So I know I've seen that. But yes, as you both said, I can mirror that by saying it's been a minute.
Mm-hmm.
What I was enjoyed about was it almost had it's funny because as we said, it wasn't that old, but it almost had like a nostalgia feeling for me watching it, where I'm watching this movie and they're like telling jokes, and I remember how groundbreaking some of the jokes were. Like they were really funny, and they were just funny in a really different kind of way that it almost triggers like a nostalgia thing for me. Like I remember thinking that was so funny, and now because we've seen so much similar type of comedy over the past 8 years, that it doesn't hit the same. But because
Yeah.
of that nostalgia thing, you're just kind of like they were the first to do something like, and of course I don't have an example because I'm horrible at this, but um you guys are nodding, so I'm thinking you
I know
understand what
that
I'm going
I
for.
don't know how to explain the feeling what you're saying, but I agree with it. There was something when I was rewatching it, and like anyone who's seen any of the movies, it's just like a ton of breaking the fourth wall, which is great. You know what I mean? That's what it is. And movies have broken the fourth wall before. Things have happened. Ferris Bueller, Zach Morris, whatever you want to say, but to do it consistently and bring us in on the jokes, it was like, wow, they did this for the entire movie. And I think that's what you're saying, where it's like other things do that more, other shows and movies do that more frequently now, but Deadpool was the one that did it
Mhm.
consistently throughout the whole film. So maybe that's where that little bit of nostalgia from, because it was just like, oh my god, this is so cool. We're with our buddy throughout the entire movie. We're in on everything.
Mhm.
It was
Plus, so
fun.
many of
Saw
so
that.
many of the jokes not necessarily being about the movie, but almost being just about pop culture in general.
Yeah,
Like we're going to show a little action figure of Deadpool from the Wolverine movie. We're going to show, make references to Hugh Jackman and make references to Ryan Reynolds and make, like
yeah,
all those kind of fourth wall breaking jokes that these jokes don't exist almost if you don't fully understand the pop culture reference. So it's just kind of done in a way that I feel like more people have kind of ripped off since of telling those kind of jokes that don't necessarily have to do with the plot of the movie. They're
yeah,
just there almost to you. It's like a wink and a nudge.
yeah. Which is fun. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? But you know, for Deadpool, they're the one that just did it
Yep.
nonstop. You know what
Well,
I mean? Like,
for those familiar with Deadpool comics, which I have read Deadpool comics for many years, it was my first comic book in like 1994 that I
7.
97.
I
Okay,
just rebought the re-release.
Chris knows better than me. It was like the first comic that I collected consistently on a monthly basis. The series that was by Joe Kelly and Ed McGuinness. Anyway, um, that's something he consistently does in the comic books is break the fourth wall and like talk to the reader. Um, so them doing it in the movie is like par for what he did in the comic books, and it is fun. It's cool that he like looks and talks to you. Like I hope in the Deadpool Wolverine movie he does that a bunch of times, and Wolverine's just like, "Who the fuck are you talking to?" Like,
Mhm.
better be
I
there.
just I want that to be a thing. Like he's talking to us, but no one else like understands what's going on. Like,
What I want in
make
the
it.
Deadpool Wolverine is for him to talk to the fourth wall and somehow bring She-Hulk in and have her talk to the fourth wall. And I want them to do a thing because that's also a thing that She-Hulk always did that people
Mhm.
complained about with her show, which I thought was done really well. In her show, I mean, they took it to the next level, but when they had her jumping
She does
through the
that too.
Disney
Yeah.
Plus menu, but she always
Yeah.
does that. And I thought that that was really interesting. Like that would be really funny if somehow they're able to weave her into the movie via the fourth wall break.
Well, Ryan Reynolds has said they are hiding a lot of this
I
movie
would
I hope
imagine.
so.
that they haven't shown in trailers, and there's a lot that's going to be in there. So,
Yeah, the cameos should be insane for that movie, knowing that they're
Mhm.
bringing in multiverses and timelines and the types of jokes that they tell and all of those things. Like I can easily imagine
Mhm.
insanity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is something that you're gonna have to see opening weekend. Otherwise, it's
Yeah.
all gonna be spread out. There's already like somebody leaked pictures of like the dog that's in it,
Mhm.
and like I got to see him in costume, and I was mad about that. And I was like, it's just the dog, but I was like, that would have been fun to see the reveal in the movie, not
Yeah.
now. So yeah, you got to see it opening weekend. Otherwise, it's just gonna be ruined.
Well, that movie's to come. What did we think of this one? Just in general
Dude,
feelings.
so much fun. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Um, just a good time from start to finish. Like action, comedy, soundtrack, like
Yeah,
super
the
fun.
needle drops were tight. They were done
Even
really well.
the needle drops were tight.
Uh,
They
even
were.
even from like the opening song over the credits. Like I don't know the name of the song, but you all know it. Like
Yeah, the Just Call Me Angel song.
You're
yeah,
my
it's like
darling angel. Forgot we're recording.
we got you singing that forever.
I'm gonna delete
But
This is
that.
where
even
we
from
get our
that,
YouTube strike.
and then just like not putting up the people's names, but just using like descriptions like a
Yeah.
hot chick,
I
whatever.
forgot they did that in this one. I remember that in the second one they did, because in the credits it was like, did they really just kill her? Because you know what I mean, in the sequel. But so when I rewatched this yesterday with my dad, and just from the opening credits, it was like, oh man, they did it in this one too. This movie was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It
Mhm.
really was.
No, yeah, I totally agree. A ton of fun, and I thought so then, and I still think so now. It's probably like one of the better. It's still maybe in like my top 10 superhero movies of all time, maybe even higher than that. It's just good, man. It's not too long. That's always a thing I factor in. It's not a 3-hour movie. It's a nice tight 2-hour movie. it is an origin story, and those do tend to sometimes like not frustrate me, but like sometimes origin stories can just be a little weird and like
It can be boring.
uh boring. Seeing
They
somebody
drag,
start, you
right?
kind of just want to be in on the action, but I feel like they mixed enough of his origin with like what is going on now, and it was like smart to jump back and forth between that, not like him being like, here's the opening scene, here's this awesome fucking fight on the bridge, now I'm going to tell you my origin real quick, and we'll hop back and I'm narrating it to you and we'll go back and forth, and then like once the origin's out of the way, like, all right, you're caught up, everything else now is just going to be
Yeah.
fun new action stuff.
And I didn't
um
realize they did that as much as they did. Like, I didn't realize that bridge scene technically went almost halfway through the movie, if not more,
mhm.
because they kept
Oh,
going on and back and forth.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I just liked that it's a simple story. It's like a story about revenge, and uh he got wronged and turned into whatever, and he's now gonna kill the guy. That's the story. And then like a little love story mixed in here and there. It's not this big complicated thing where you got to concentrate too hard. It's very just a simple watch. He's after the guy who fucking disfigured him and made him into what he considers a freak. And you mix in some jokes and some gunplay and some fighting, and that's your movie. Like, I like that. I like that I don't have to sit and like rack my brain like, who is this guy and where are they going and what multiverse are they in and what planet are they on? It's just like a nice street level superhero fun, and you add in the R-rated to it, which we weren't very used to at the time. I mean, there were things here and there in the past like Blade and everything where there's blood and stuff, but this is like
Modern.
Deadpool. Yeah, Deadpool's more of a guy people know, and like, oh, he's mixed in with Spider-Man and all that stuff, but there's blood. He's shooting people in the head. What's going on? But it was just like fun, a more adult like time with superheroes. So
Yeah, and they
I
made
don't
that
know.
joke in the beginning when he shish kebabbed that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
My
Uh,
boyfriend just said we were
we're
going to see
going
a
to see a
superhero movie,
superhero
but he
movie.
just stabbed that guy or whatever he
Yeah.
said.
Made him into a fucking kebab.
Yeah, there.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked it a lot, still like it a lot. It's a movie I'll probably watch for years. Just it's a fun movie to put on. I don't know. Chris, you.
Same. I thought I in there. Yeah, no, it's a blast. I had a good time with it. Was fun to watch it again. As I mentioned earlier, it was almost had like just a nostalgia to it, where some of those jokes I was like, oh yeah, that one was the good one. And it just, like I said, the fourth wall, the fun, the nonlinear storytelling for the first half. One of the things that always is crazy to me was, especially rewatching it, but I remember always thinking this way. And I believe Deadpool 2 even kind of gave me some of the same feelings, but just the fact that like Colossus was in this movie, like that they were like, we're going to use X-Men that we've never seen before. Let's do Colossus. You guys did that drink in sync.
Weird.
It was really weird. Anyway, it's kind of awesome.
March.
But like as a kid, I always loved Colossus as an X-Men and always really wanted to see him. He might have been in X-Men 3, but that doesn't count. And he wasn't a main character. And just the fact that we got full on Colossus in this movie was crazy to me. And I feel like I felt the same way with Deadpool 2 with Juggernaut. I remember Juggernaut being in that movie and just kind of being like, we're actually getting a good version of Juggernaut in Deadpool. It's just so random.
One that's not Vinny. What's his name from
Vinny
X3?
Jones.
Vinny Jones in X3. Terrible Juggernaut.
Yeah.
Vinny Jones was Juggernaut.
Yeah.
Vinny Jones was Juggernaut, and he had some very
Okay.
questionable dialogue that he said to children.
Yeah.
That movie is so rough, but
So terrible.
terrible is really the right word. But yeah, just I really I'm always amazed that Colossus being a CGI character and just done so well, and like you said, having that X-Men character that's like supposed to be more wholesome and family friendly in this movie, to me just is funny and so well done. I also forgot Gina Carino was in this movie. She popped up and I was like, oh shit, I did forget that she was in this movie as Angel Dust. I just completely forgot, and I was kind of a surprise that popped out.
She's canceled.
She got canceled, which I do kind of. I always liked when she popped up in stuff, so it's kind of a bummer.
I didn't think she was. I never thought she was like that great of an actor, but she was good for like action scenes and stuff like.
She
They
had,
always try to work in her MMA stuff, and I hate
yeah,
when they force that
yeah,
onto actors.
Conor
That,
McGregor.
and it's just exactly. But it's like, oh, when she fought Colossus, it's like, oh, cool. She's gonna try to armbar him, and she's doing some leg lock wrap
mhm.
around him, and it's like,
Yeah.
I get it. That's what she's known for, but like,
Same reason The Rock always has to do a rock bottom in one of his
or
movies
something,
or
right?
something. Some wrestling
Mhm.
move always gets done in a fight. They can't do a fight choreography with The Rock or a wrestler in general without them doing like their finishing move, and you're just
Right.
like, it's kind of almost takes you out of it, but whatever.
Triple H is doing a pedigree in Blade 3 or whatever, some
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Uh,
Randomness like that. But yes, it's there. But I like I said, I always enjoyed her action sequence presence. She has one of the few legit like tough woman shticks that is believable to me. So it was
because she's
always,
big.
huh?
Because she's big.
Yeah, she's big. She has some size to her, so it always helps. Ronda Rousey being in a movie, she was a terrible actress, but she could put on a fight sequence pretty well. So it was one of those
I don't
things. But
watch Ronda Rousey movies.
you want to watch Ronda
I
Rousey movies?
don't watch them. Was she in movies?
She was in. I know she was in one of the Fast and Furious movies. That's the only thing I can. Her and Michelle Rodriguez did a fight sequence in that.
Somebody told me, and I don't know if this is true or not. Not to get off topic, we'll get back real quick. But
Well,
Ronda Rousey, was she in her own version of Roadhouse? Was there another Roadhouse with Ronda Rousey?
Road
Someone,
Rousey?
I
Road
was told
Rouse?
that Roadhouse.
This is Ronda's house.
You don't have to go looking it up, but
I'm
I
doing
was
it
just
because
now since I raised the question, you have to look. Like a
Oh, Chris looks
female.
concerned and interested.
there's a lot of pictures of it,
Mhm.
but I think they're more like I
Okay,
feel. Yeah, I don't think it actually happened. I think they were trying to do it.
Don, hear me out. Instead of Conor McGregor, same movie, but Ronda Rousey. More enjoyable?
probably,
Probably.
Pro- probably.
Ronda
Uh,
Rousey was originally cast in the remake as the
Dalton.
main character. Like the original Roadhouse remake was supposed to star her, is what it looks like. Um,
okay.
but then they
Well,
ended up switching it, so she.
it's probably for the best that that never happened anyway.
Yeah, that wouldn't have.
Definitely probably wouldn't have podcasted about it.
Probably not. Probably not. But yeah, I enjoyed this movie. I had a great time with it as expected.
So when you were talking earlier, you were talking about the Fox and the Disney back and forth. So Fox made this originally, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and that was the whole thing about like it's funny because when I went to queue this up, I watched it with my dad yesterday because he loves this movie. But I queued it up and I was like, what's this streaming on? And it was just funny to be like to pull up such an ultraviolet movie on Disney Plus. And it was just it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And wasn't that the big issue with them like continuing Punisher, continuing a bunch of other Marvel stuff, or how it was going to get made, or if
They've
they were
kind of walked a lot of that back since now they've kind of merged Disney with Hulu and they're really kind of doing everything like that. I know people were complaining that some like HBO show was going to be attached to Disney and everyone was like, we don't need pornography on Disney Plus. And I'm like, do you know it's already there? Like,
Mhm.
I'm like sitting there like right now, if I look at like suggested movies on my Disney Plus, it's like a Goofy movie is next to Poor Things. And I'm like, come on, you guys are complaining about some random HBO show. Like, come on, guys.
yeah,
Well, with the acquisition, when they did do the acquisition, that's was the big thing people were worried about was, okay, well now all the Fox movies that we want sequels to and have are going to be Disneyfied, and
right.
that was the worry about Deadpool 3 for the longest time was it won't be the same. Like it'll be PG-13. They won't be able to swear and have blood and have people getting shot and stabbed. But like Chris said, they have walked that back and been like, no, we're doing it. Like we're gonna make a Deadpool 3 that is Deadpool. We are gonna make it true to itself. We're not gonna like sugarcoat it and change anything. So I mean, I give Disney credit for at least knowing, like being smart about this. If we got a PG-13 Deadpool 3, nobody like people would
Yeah.
not care about it the same way.
Well, and they tried because I don't have the timeline exactly when they did it, but I know they re-released Deadpool 2 as that like Christmas version that was PG-13, like right after Disney bought them, or like it was almost like a test thing. Like, will people watch a PG-13 Deadpool 2? And I know supposedly they reshot footage where it was like Fred Savage telling the story like out of The Princess Bride. And they like reshot scenes and
Oh
stuff. So I always
yeah.
wanted to see that. I've never seen it, but it was a PG-13 version of Deadpool 2. And they were always kind of joking about how they would like it almost seemed like it was test footage.
Was that like a teaser trailer for something or something? I vaguely remember that now.
Yeah, it was a full movie they released in theaters. like at Christmas time, the year it came out or somewhere in there. But that was the rumor I remember hearing, was that it was like Disney trying to see if like a PG-13 Deadpool
Hmm.
would work. So they kind of released it in their own way. And I remember Ryan Reynolds making comments about it, like there's no F's or whatever it was at the time.
Mhm.
That was for a while ago. I don't think it did very well. I always wanted to see it just because of all the new footage and, like I said, the Princess Bride, Fred Savage of it. I thought, I'm sure, was probably pretty funny.
Speaking
Yeah.
of test footage and trying things out, we were mentioning right before we got started about how this movie even came to be,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Well, that's what I thought was funny about them doing that. It was like it originally started as I think Ryan Reynolds and some people who wanted to make this movie but couldn't get it greenlit, basically did the opening action sequence in the car as test footage and leaked it out to the internet. I want to do leak in air quotes. And I still remember watching that leak footage, and it was like, this is what the canceled Deadpool movie could have been. And I remember everybody freaking out watching that. And I still remember watching that
It
test
was
footage and
awesome.
how awesome it was.
Yeah, I do too. And it all ties into how Deadpool even came to be. Like Ryan Reynolds played, as I'm sure people listening know, played Wade Wilson in was it Wolverine Origins?
Mm-hmm.
So he played Wade Wilson, and this is like pre-Deadpool Wade Wilson. So he's still an assassin. He's still like a mercenary or whatever. Hasn't had the Deadpool shit done to him yet. And they decided in that movie to go the route of once he gets, it's hard to remember because I haven't seen it so long. Whatever happened to him, his mouth gets like sewn over.
Yeah,
He's
he
got a
gets
bald
mutated,
head,
and they take away his mouth as part of his like mutation.
Which
which is
is the
which is
opposite of who Deadpool is.
Deadpool does
Isn't he the
nothing
Merc
but
with the?
talk.
Yeah, he's the Merc with the mouth. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's his whole shtick.
So that was like the biggest tragedy that ever could have happened. And even remember thinking back then, like, I would never was the biggest Ryan Reynolds fan in the world. I've come around on him over the years. Like, he's more entertaining to me now than he was in like the Van Wilder days or whatever he
Yeah,
started
yeah.
with. It's like, he's annoying. But when they cast him as Wade Wilson, I was like, that's perfect.
Even
He's,
back then.
yeah, yeah, he's like he's wisecracking guy. He's got the look. He tells the same kind of stupid, like immature jokes. Like, this is a perfect casting. You don't really think that too often when people get cast. You usually have a problem with it. I had no problem with it. I was like, this is great. They just got to do it right. And they did it completely wrong and totally just
Mhm.
ruined it. And for years, people are like, what could have been if they really would have done a real Deadpool movie with Ryan Reynolds? How awesome would that have been? Then they're talking about, let's make another Deadpool movie. Let's find somebody else. Like, no, you had your guy. You had him. You just didn't do it right. And he kind of took it upon himself to be like, no, I am the right guy. Just do the right, make the right film. And so that leaked footage and all that stuff kind of leading to it is, it's quite a story, and it's cool how it kind of all worked out for him. And now he just, when you think Deadpool, you think Ryan Reynolds, you know?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
And,
wild.
and he pops up in all kinds of random stuff. My sister said she was watching some Nickelback documentary on Netflix right now, and she just texted me right before we podcasted, and she was like, Deadpool just popped up in this documentary. I was like, I don't know why. I didn't watch
Yeah.
it, but apparently Deadpool's in the Nickelback documentary over on Netflix.
Deadpool or Ryan Reynolds?
Well, I think it's both. Ryan
Deadpool
Reynolds
is
as
Ryan
Deadpool.
Reynolds.
I mean, like you said, there is no Deadpool without Ryan Reynolds.
Same.
So supposedly he's in in a random documentary about the band Nickelback.
He's everywhere, man. He's kind of like Deadpool is, you see him as much as you see, like I just use the name Spider-Man or Captain America. You see Deadpool around. People have Deadpool stickers on their bumper sticker. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's somehow he became a household name, and these movies are reason for that. Reading Deadpool comics in '97, I was never like, everyone's gonna love Deadpool someday, but somehow they do. Like,
Yeah,
And now
definitely became a pop culture icon since the movies.
yeah,
and like I said, I can only imagine it getting bigger now that like Marvel has a hold on them actual, and it's not Sony doing what Sony does. They have full
Mhm.
on, or Fox. Sony owns Spider-Man, not Deadpool. Okay.
It gets confusing.
It gets confusing. But like Fox doing what Fox does and now being able to see what Marvel does and what the MCU does with him is just, I mean, he's just going to become bigger of a
Yeah.
character. And it's, like you said, crazy to think that these movies are on Disney Plus. A couple years ago when that streamer started, I would have never imagined it.
No.
Same with the Netflix Punisher, as you talked about the Punisher show and stuff. The fact that they are bringing back all of that stuff to Disney Plus is insane to me.
And
Yeah.
that's another thing they promise is that the new Deadpool season is going to be up to Netflix Deadpool or Netflix Daredevil standards
Yeah.
is what I meant. That's
Wait,
another
are they
thing.
doing another season of Daredevil?
Yes.
That's exciting. When's that launch?
They keep scrapping it and bringing back. People keep leaving. It's having a lot of behind the scenes issues of people they're trying to do it right. So
I thought for sure after She-Hulk ended that it was going to happen a lot sooner, and then when it hasn't, I just figured it was done. So they're still trying to.
they're still trying. I think it was supposed to be a lot sooner. But yeah, I think they lost their creative team.
Well, they are filming because I've seen
Yeah.
set photos of Daredevil and Punisher together again.
That's awesome. I'd love another season of Punisher too. I loved that show. I thought it was awesome.
I think they said they are doing Punisher.
I think they did
second
too.
season.
Yeah.
I still need to watch Punisher, but
Yeah, I've never seen it either.
I mean, ultra violent, but it's Punisher. You know what I mean? But it was still good. And I can't remember the guy's name who plays him.
John
John
Barenthal.
Barenthal, Jinx.
That dude, like, I can't think of something that I've watched with him where I've been like disappointed. You know what I mean? The dude's just good in everything, whether it's a small role or a leading role. Like, he's just been good in everything.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
same thing with the dude who plays was it Charlie Cox? What's his fucking name?
Charlie
Yeah.
Cox Daredevil.
Yeah. Same thing with him. I'm like, they're just getting like. Obviously, they use A-listers in like the Marvel Cinematic Universe and stuff, but like the chops that some of these actors have in the television shows as well, it's like there's not really a weak link.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know.
Back to Deadpool.
Sorry. Yeah.
No,
Wait till we see Deadpool with Daredevil and Punisher. He like belongs in that group, kind of. Like one day when they finally get all this street level shit going, and like it's just gonna be awesome.
Yeah. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see Deadpool and Spider-Man. That would be just an amazing, just even for a scene
between the two of them.
That was always, I mean, that's been a huge thing in comics is the two of them together constantly. So just the idea of being able to see it.
Spider-Man Deadpool comic for a while, because they do play off each other, like their humor and joking at each other, and Spider-Man like them telling the same kind of jokes, but just Deadpool's are more adult and he's killing people.
You've got the clean jokes from the kid.
Right.
Yeah. I would love to see that in the MCU. That would be entertaining to watch them together.
Speaking of jokes, because obviously Deadpool is a Joker. He's not the Joker, but he's a Joker. Did all the jokes hit for you? Like, this is one of those. I mean, even now, this is one of those movies where sometimes he's telling jokes like a mile a minute, just constantly. All he does is joke.
You couldn't take a notepad and write down like, oh, that one was funny because the other one was already landing, and it was just like it's a lot of jokes.
Sometimes there were just some though where I know they're funny, but they are not. They didn't make me laugh. My face was just kind of like, huh. It's just like it happens in this kind of adult humor movie where it's like, okay, I get it. That's a joke. But it's disgusting and it's inappropriate, and I'm not gonna laugh out loud at it. But it's like humorous. You know what I mean?
No, there's
quite humorous.
There's a handful that you laugh out loud at that are like, that's great. I remember the first time I heard it. It was great then, great now. But then there's other ones where you're like, okay, it's funny, but like, you know, I'm gonna go jerk off with my hand that's regenerating, the little baby hand. I get it. It's a gross, funny type thing, but I was just like, okay, it's humorous. You get a half smile from me on that. But not a full laugh.
Not a guffaw.
A guffaw? Or guffaw?
A guffaw.
A guffaw.
Yeah, the same. I mean, there are very few that don't like land, at least where I'm just like, oh, or like didn't hit. They all kind of hit, but yeah, I'm trying to think of like if there was any that stand out where I like laughed legitimate LOL'd.
I did laugh. I know I did laugh.
I know I did too.
A good number of times, but it's just like a lot of it is just like you got the smile on your face because it's funny, but it's not like crack you up funny.
Yeah.
It's just so fun to see him brought to life though, and knowing that's the kind of character he is, and like,
Oh, I wrote down one that I laughed out loud at.
let's hear it.
Okay, the bridge scene when he's fighting all the guys, Colossus comes to stop him, and there's a guy that's up on the sign. His body falls down, and he just goes, "That guy was up there when I got here." That still hits so hard that I laughed out loud. And then 2 seconds later, he nonchalantly grabs a hubcap and throws that at Ajax. And just fucking hits him, and I was like, "Fuck, he's funny, man!"
Yeah.
Like that little moment there, I think was when I probably laughed out loud the hardest at a line of dialogue and a visual gag.
Yeah.
Like I was probably had one of those dumb smiles on my face the whole time.
Yeah.
Because I enjoyed every bit of it. But that moment there, I was like, that's a fucking funny line.
The part that always I remember dying when I saw it the first time, and it still gets me, is with Colossus, and he's breaking his limbs trying to punch him, and he just keeps doing it, and his hands are all there. But when he turns to the camera and he's like, "Everyone fears the T-Rex," that one just always gets me. It's just like it's just so random. His limbs are all broken and limb, and he's just looking at the camera, and he's just it's not a joke about anything. It's just like, hey, I have T-Rex arms, and it just always kills me.
It's not even a real joke, but like that same scene after he's broken his hands and he turns around and does that spinning kick and breaks his foot too. I was like, why do you keep doing it? Like,
he's hopping around with one broken leg and two broken arms, and he's like, "You ever heard of the man in the one-legged man in the ass kicking contest?" And I was like, "Why are you still doing this, man?" Yeah.
And since we're all saying jokes that made us laugh, the one I remember that makes me laugh every time, just because of it's his delivery when he says it. When he's talking to Colossus and the girl, and he's like, "What's your name?" And she says, "Teenage Negasonic Warhead." He's like, "Teenage Negasonic what? The fuck?"
He was like, "That's so cool."
Makes me laugh every freaking time. Every time he says that, because her name is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's just like, "That is the best name I've ever heard."
Yeah. We have a lot of good jokes with her and her teenage angst, and it's like I said, so much of it just hits, and there were probably bunch of parts where I was laughing at, but him breaking his limbs on Colossus always gets me. That is definitely one.
Is Colossus the real villain in this movie? If he wouldn't have stepped in and interfered, Deadpool would have just killed Francis, Ajax, right there on the bridge, and we'd have had no film.
Would have been over.
He wasn't mad enough at Colossus for that. You ruined my year-long search for this man. Fucking Colossus and your good heart.
Yeah. You wanted him to be X-Men. Be X-Men.
Be X-Men.
But I remember, I just like we were talking about with the jokes, and I just still remember, like, you're sitting there, and I remember how you feel when, like, he's like, "We're gonna go see the professor," and he's like, "McAvoy or Stewart," and you're just like, "Oh, fourth wall."
I can't keep all these multiverses straight.
But it's still fun, and like,
no, it's blast. I just remember like being like, "Oh, I can't believe he said it."
Yeah, and like he says his own name in it at one point. He says Ryan Reynolds. You know what I mean? But like, so it's like you break the fourth wall so many times. Now we're expecting for the next one, and then he's telling us a story. And in the flashback, he breaks the fourth wall again, and he calls out breaking the fourth wall within breaking the fourth wall.
It's like 16 walls.
Yeah. And it was just like, did I laugh out loud at that? No. Did I think that it was a cute, clever nod that you've done throughout the whole movie already? But I liked it. It was still just like, that's fucking smart and funny and just good fun writing, So
how
do you like you're there? You're with a buddy the whole time.
Yeah.
When it goes back to like last week when we were talking about Twister, it's just like the characters are fun. Like you feel like you're there just having a good time. And it was very similar vibe to that, where you really just liked the characters, and definitely Deadpool, like you said, you're just hanging with a buddy. Now, when we're talking about buddies, you talked about Colossus being the villain, but Ajax was the actual villain, or Francis, depending, and which that Francis joke never got old either. Him just repeatedly calling him Francis, I don't know. They timed it out perfectly. Every time they did it. But how do you feel as him as Ajax as the bad guy? Was he enough for the origin story? Would have been better to have someone a little bit bigger, more of a name.
I don't know the comics at all. but for an origin story, from what I've seen, there's never like a big bad in it. You know what I mean? It leads up to somebody in the next one, but was there really a? Oh, I guess that I won't drift too far into the second one. The second one kind of had a big bad. The mutant school leader who was against mutants. I can't remember all the details.
I gotta watch the second one again. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. I remember like maybe a part or two of the second one. I know Cable was in it, which I was going to talk about when we did get to the Easter egg there portion. But yeah, I don't remember. I just remember little glimpses in the movie. But
the thing with Deadpool is it's hard to. He doesn't have a rogues gallery because he's kind of a villain himself.
Yeah.
In the comics, he bounces back and forth between. I think he would still be a villain in the comics if he just wasn't so popular. He's so popular they kind of had to make him into an anti-hero, but he kind of is a villain. Like he goes along with, he goes against X-Force and he goes against Wolverine and on and on and on. So it's hard to like nail down who should have been the villain in this movie because he doesn't really have villains.
that's true.
But as far as like Ajax was in this movie, I think he was good for what he was there for. I mean, he's the guy who made him into what he is, so he's a good first villain. He's kind of the serious foil to his jokiness, and they both kind of have a similar power set. They're both strong and they can fight. And the axe scene at the end was really a really cool fight. We'll talk about the action, I guess, if you liked it.
That was where I was heading next.
Yeah, I was cool with Ajax. I like this entire supporting cast. I think it's not very big, but like, yeah, I didn't have a problem with Vanessa or Weasel or Blind
Vanessa
Al.
rules.
Like,
what's her name?
every
Moraine,
yeah,
Firefly.
Yeah, she rolls.
Yeah, but everybody that had a supporting role in this was good at their role. I don't even think TJ Miller's that funny, but he was funny in this, like funny enough for
He was great in this.
parts he had.
Yeah.
So everyone kind of played their role the right way. Small cast, but everyone kind of like held their own. So Ajax included, I thought everybody was good. I liked him as a villain.
Yeah. You guys mentioned about Deadpool being an anti-hero. One of the quotes that I wrote down was that I thought was good that just kind of described him was, I'm just a bad guy who fucks up worse guys. And I feel like that kind of sums him up where like he's not necessarily a good guy.
Right.
But he does have some good guy qualities. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that I thought that was a cool line and just kind of described him because,
Yeah. They kind of wanted you to get that point early on in the movie and like the flashback when he was
still Wade Wilson. Right.
When he like basically scared the shit out of that pizza delivery boy who's a stalker for messing with that girl. It was like, oh, he's doing bad things, but he's doing it to like asshole scumbags. So I can like him. He may be a killer and a piece of shit, but
that's the part that I laughed at too, is when he was in the pizza guy's there, the actual owner of the apartment's there. And they're all laughing about it, and he's like, you were so scared, and it cut to the guy. He's like, I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Stupid moment of this guy, like, that made me laugh out loud too.
It felt like a real moment.
Yeah,
it's just like not a scripted moment. It felt like a real, like that's what someone would say. Like, I didn't know what to do.
I didn't know what to do.
Freaking me out, man.
Right.
That was good.
Yeah. No, like I said, the movie's filled with that. It's hard. We could sit here literally and fill an entire hour just trying to talk about our favorite Deadpool jokes.
It's true.
It's just there's just so many that it's literally a joke every 10 seconds, right? You know what I mean? Like maybe more than that.
Yeah, there's very small windows where there's no joking. A lot of it was with Ajax, kind of when he was torturing Wade and kind of turning him in, and shit got serious in that little window when Wade was even not talking. There was a very small window in which Ajax kind of owned him.
Yeah.
And it was
the thing that finally set him over the edge, like when the torture got to be too much and it destroyed his appearance, and that was like, oh, all right, this is the serious part, but that was like the only serious part.
Yeah, and it didn't last very long.
Just
kind of had that fight in the fire.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings us back to the action. How does the action hold up? We talked about kind of the highway. We talked a little bit about the bridge. Obviously, there's the helicarrier at the end. There was obviously did a mixture of CGI and realistic, and practical with some of the stunts? How did it age? How did it make you feel?
I thought it still looks great. I mean, the CGI was good then; it's still good now. I think it holds up. I think
It's
it's
not
probably
Roadhouse CGI fighting.
no. I think it's
No Post
not
Malone.
a Roadhouse budget either, but um, I'd say it's probably 85% CGI and then 15% practical. But still, like it wasn't noticeable to where you were like, oh, this whole thing was done on green screen. A ton of it was, but you weren't thinking about it because it was so fun and they did it so well.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, are we going to be able to follow a sword flying through the air or count the 12 bullets that he's shooting in slow mo to shoot three guys in a row? No, but it was awesome and super fun to watch. And he probably
Mhm.
cracked three jokes in the middle of that whole sequence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the action holds up for sure. Like it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I still love the bridge scene at the beginning. I think it's awesome. I think it's a fun watch every single time. It's just what I would expect from a Deadpool action scene. That's just how I always read him in the comics, doing that shit to people, like busting through a bunch of guys, and like the joke of him only having 12 bullets, like Tony said, having to get through everybody, and he's cracking jokes in the middle of it. Like how many times when he saw somebody popped up was he just like, ah! You know what I mean? Just like it's just it's just funny, and going back and forth between guns and swords is Deadpool's thing, and so like the mixture there is cool. They stuck very close to the character. Um, and even all the fight scenes, the one at the end with the final fight between Deadpool and Ajax was fun and epic, and Colossus fighting Gina Carano, like you said, was fun too. So all the action in this I thought was good. It was just like in line with what a Deadpool action film would be.
Mhm.
um I look past the CGI heaviness when it's blended well enough for me not to be thinking too hard that it is CGI.
Yeah.
Like when you have these big superhero movies where people like me and Chris have talked about on previous shows, where superheroes are punching each other out of the sky and um, busting into planets. You can tell when they're flipping through the air that it's totally computer generated. Like that takes me out of it sometimes.
And like
But
the original Black Panther, that climax fight scene where he's like falling down a tunnel and it just looks so much like CGI and it just took me out of it.
yeah, that's an example. But just in Deadpool, I wasn't sitting there thinking I'm watching CGI. I'm just like, oh, this is fun superhero action. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Uh, so yeah, action was really great for me.
Yeah.
And I hope a lot of those, like I obviously don't remember Deadpool 2 if Colossus was in Deadpool 2. I'd
He was
love.
hilarious in it.
Yeah, oh, even better. Well, then I'm hoping that we see some of these characters like Colossus and Dopinder in Deadpool Wolverine.
I
It,
forgot about Dopinder when I was talking about the supporting
oh my
cast.
god, he's so good and sweet, and he's also in part two.
Yeah.
Um,
I do
that was
remember him being, but I don't remember what he did. And I thought his whole thing about kidnapping his rival was in the second one. So when it popped up in this one, I was just like, oh shit, what the hell's he doing in the second one then? So I have to, like I said, have to watch it. Um,
yeah.
to
I
try
mean,
to
it's
see.
it's not better than the first one. It's not as good as the first one, but it's still it's a good sequel. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So
yeah.
yeah,
I
I
think
just
it was funny, man. That was another good part. We can keep talking about the jokes, but when they find out that he has kidnapped the guy
mhm.
and just Deadpool's
I'm so,
whispering
Yeah.
I'm
underneath,
so proud of you.
so proud of you. I just like
Kill him.
that was one of the other ones where it's like, oh, that got a laugh out of me. It wasn't just a
Yeah.
smile, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
He was condemning him loud and then congratulating him quiet. Yeah.
yeah,
Because
it was
Colossus was in the back seat,
Yeah.
all
pretty great.
crunched in.
Yeah.
So good, so
Yeah.
much fun.
Yeah, it's a great movie. And then they give us the Ferris Bueller ending, post credit scene. We get Ferris Bueller, I mean the robe and
I
everything.
forgot
So
all about that.
I did too. I couldn't remember. And then he just kept telling people to go home. And then they dropped the teaser, which I remember like sitting there in the theater having chills when they said, we got Cable for the next one. We don't know who it's going to be yet, but Cable's going to be in the next one. And I just remember going, oh shit, they're going to do Cable in real life, which as a kid growing up watching X-Men cartoons and reading the comics, Cable was just a huge deal. So the idea that they were going to bring Cable to life was awesome. And even now, it still seems awesome, even though I don't remember Deadpool 2. Now I'm kind of like excited to watch Deadpool 2 to see what's his face be Cable. And there's got to be a Thanos Cable joke coming in Wolverine, Deadpool.
There might have even been one in part 2. I don't remember because Josh Brolin was Thanos before Cable, and I remember
Trying to
that being
remember if there
Oh,
was
yeah.
one.
I remember that being the thing was like people were like, he's playing Cable, but he's Thanos. I'm like, well, he can do that because that's
Fox,
Marvel
yeah.
Studios and this
You're right.
is
Yeah.
Fox.
I do remember that.
And it's not
Yeah,
like Thanos looks like a human or so, you know what I
right,
mean?
right.
Like they could do that.
Yeah, but part two's got Domino in it too. I think about Zazie Beetz. Chris, that's your favorite.
She's
Um,
so great. She's
Yeah.
so great. And she's
Yeah.
so great in that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we're gonna have to give Deadpool 2 a watch,
Yeah.
but
It's fun. It's another fun one. You know what I mean?
Well, it's a good thing. I'm pretty sure on our schedule, if we look, Deadpool 2 is next week. That was what
Guffaw.
Guffaw. That was what we talked about. So getting ready for Deadpool Wolverine, kicking it off.
Wait, what weekend does that come out? The weekend of the 28th?
Yeah.
I think. What day is that?
Friday, Thursday.
Thursday the 26th, eh? Or Friday the 26th. All right.
Deadpool Wolverine comes out not this coming weekend, but the following weekend.
This coming weekend is Twisters.
Listen, guys, I'm going to go see both.
There you go. There you go.
Double feature.
Should be a lot easier than me trying to go see Longlegs this week and the theaters all being filled because it's only playing in like 12 theaters.
Trailer looks messed up. I didn't know anything about that movie until you guys sent that trailer. And I was like, well, I have to go see this now.
Yeah.
I was like, this seems like A24, but not. And then it said Neon. And I was like, that's why.
Close enough. Yeah.
Neon
like,
is Neon is like A24 Junior. I think I'm
Yeah.
gonna try to go see Long Legs tomorrow, I think.
Long Logs?
Love Legs?
Love Legs. Lifeless Love Legs from Long Logs.
Ah,
Bob loves Law Log. Bob Love loves Love Log?
Are you having a seizure right now?
Arrested Development was so good.
You know,
Mock trial with Judge Ryan Holt.
stupid.
Bob Loblaws Loglogs.
Bob Loblaw's Law Blogs. Bob Loblaw's Law Blog. Sorry, Don.
Scott Baio.
Shout
out Scott Baio.
Shit. Yeah, Arrested Development was so good.
Really
Those
was.
subtle jokes. So, what we got any final thoughts about Deadpool before we go off on random ass tangents about stuff and talk about what our week plans are to go see Longlegs?
I'm gonna go see Deadpool and Wolverine on the weekend of my birthday, I think.
Yeah.
I realize that's when it's coming out.
I definitely am going to see it. I know I'm going to see it.
Yeah.
I just love the character.
Yeah. And like when we were when we were talking about Twisters and we talked about movies that we were satisfied with, this didn't even pop in my head as when I saw this first one in theaters, I was totally happy and satisfied when I walked out. So this is one of those ones that people are going to be talking about and spoiling on the internet. So it's like, you got to see it this week.
For sure.
Yeah, it's going to be like the only one this year.
Yeah.
We didn't, just real quick, one other thing that just popped in my head before we finish. We didn't really talk about the love story aspect of this, Vanessa.
Yeah.
Which was a big part of the movie. It's the whole reason he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's scared to like go talk to her when his face is all messed up after the operation and after the experimentation.
He could have at least called her and let her know that he was alive.
He could have. There was a lot of things he could have done differently. And obviously, like at the very end of the movie, she didn't care that that's what he looked like now. So it's like, oh, she wouldn't have cared the whole time. But
yeah, he could have just ignored Ajax and just went and disappeared and went and lived his life, and
wouldn't have been a fun movie.
No.
What did you guys think about the way they presented a love story? They're like, love is different. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not a Peter Parker and Mary Jane thing. It's like, oh, these two are just both like assholes and they care about sex the most thing in their relationship. And it's just like, that's how they fell in love. It's just a different way.
Well, that's like so I don't know a lot about the comic books, but I know what I learned from the movie is that he's a mercenary and he's a mercenary for hire now. And he's rough and he hangs around rough bars with his rough friends, and he runs into a hot sex worker one night and they totally hit it off. It was awesome. Super fun. Not your typical romance, but like they fell in love, let's just say at first sight, basically. They don't until later. They have a very long, drawn out sex scene, which they made funny, you know what I mean? I think Calendar Girl was playing the whole time. So it's their year-long shenanigans or whatever they want to say. And it was super fun and raunchy, but also light because it wasn't your typical thing. But then things get serious and he gets the cancer and she shows how much she cares about him and she's doing all the work and going in, and it was awesome. Yeah, I thought it was super cute and fun and sexy and great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a different way to present a love story than we're used to, and so I liked that being like its own take on like people don't always have to just like be Prince Charming and
Right.
you know, a princess in a castle who needs saving. Like sometimes it's just some shit like this. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Right. To each their own, man.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it helps that it was Morena Baccarin playing
Mhm.
because as I kind of crudely shouted, she was on Firefly. She was Anara on Firefly, which is a show that I loved, and
And what was her profession on Firefly?
she was a prostitute.
She was. She was
She was a
also a sex worker.
companion. They
She was a
called them
companion.
companions
She was a companion.
on
So
Firefly. So yeah,
that was kind of a fun thing. I don't know if her character is in the comics at all, and if that's how they meet, if that's their backstory. But part of me was just hoping that they made her a sex worker because she was a companion in Firefly, because that would be a fun little nod.
mm-hmm.
That
She might be a very small character in comics, but I don't think it's really she's not featured much.
Gotcha.
It feels like it was more made for the movie.
Yeah,
And
it was
it
awesome.
worked. It was great casting. It
Yeah.
was, like you said, it was just well done. It worked, and it worked for the movie perfectly. It was in there just enough. There was more than enough motivation. They were able to pull their relationship together, and like I said, a quick montage basically. They were able to give you enough that you believed and you cared enough about them that you could ride through the whole rest of the movie.
The funniest joke in that sex montage was when it was Lent.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was
pretty
just
good.
so good, like reading books and drinking tea or whatever. Like, all right, that's funny.
I was like, we get it. We get it. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those, like I said, everything really about this movie was just done perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It works. Everything works. Like I said, it's probably in my top 10, if not top 5 superhero movies.
It reminded me of just their relationship. It reminded me of Lethal Weapon 3 with Mel Gibson and Rene Russo, where they're arguing, they're like shit, they're falling in love as they're showing each other their wounds. I got this one from a 38. I got this one from a drug dealer, and I did all this stuff. And then that was the first thing I thought of when I remember seeing Deadpool the first time, and they're talking about you had a dishwasher, and trying to talk about whose life was worse. And I was just like, oh, they're doing the Lethal Weapon 3.
That's a good catch, Chris. You're right. Yeah, it is definitely that vibe.
And both work really well to get you.
Did you notice that last scene, the big fight scene, the aircraft carrier is the same one they used in that movie Battleship? Sorry, Don.
Did someone say Battleship?
All right. So my favorite scene, 4th of July. No.
No.
One day, ladies and gentlemen, I'll get Don to watch Battleship.
Do
talk about it on this. Did you see Battleship, Tony?
Oh yeah. Boom. That's all I can remember. I just checked the IMDb after we talked the other day, and I was like, Liam Neeson is in Battleship?
Yeah.
I remember there's somebody with a prosthetic leg.
Yeah.
And
I'll let you guys do a show about Battleship. How's that? You guys
listen. Battleship, almost as good as the new Roadhouse.
That's not saying much.
No, it's much better than Roadhouse. We're not here. We're going to be back next week talking about Deadpool 2. Hopefully we can convince Tony to give it a watch and come on back and keep this journey going. Is he shaking his head? No.
Absolutely not.
Surprised we got him to come out. It's a non-holiday weekend, and he came out. But we'll see how we can go into next week. But that is our plan as of right now. Deadpool 2, followed by Deadpool and Wolverine, somewhere in there, as long as we can all get to the theater and get it watched. So it's definitely Deadpool month here. Let us know what you thought about Deadpool. When was the last time you watched it? And are you excited for Deadpool Wolverine? And you do that by hitting us up on social media at Raised A Geek, shooting us an email, raisedageek@gmail.com. And sending us those comments and those rates and reviews helps us out. So do it.
Do it now.
You guys have any final thoughts, which I think I already asked once, but we did have final thoughts. So just double checking that we don't have more final thoughts.
Final thoughts?
Final thoughts.
Pretty good movie.
Nope. That's it. Pretty good movie.
All right. I agree. Pretty good movie. So with that said, I think that's going to do it for us this week. So for Raised a Geek, I'm Chris.
And I'm Don.
And I'm Tony.
And thanks for checking out the show.
Where geek is all we speak.